Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to the Fabienne Show. Today, we are going to dismantle one of the most seductive lies in the entrepreneurial journey. And I have experienced this lie myself many, many times. This lie, if you will, sounds responsible when you tell it to yourself or to other people. And it sounds like you're being strategic and you are being wise about the decision you're making. But most of the time, it is fear. It's fear wearing a pretty dress, fear wearing lipstick. And I know because once again, I've been there and it's so easy to think this way. And the lie is this: I just need to finish this one thing first, this one launch. I just need to hire this one person first. I just need to get through this school year. I need to get through my little kids being, back in school. I just need to calm down a little. And then I'll make that move. And then I'll scale. And then I will hire. And then I will invest. And then I will launch that thing I've been dreaming of launching for years. Today's episode is about getting out of your own way when you're going after something big. And this episode isn't about pressuring you to do anything. It is instead about freeing you from this, seduction of saying after this and after this and after this, because there will always be something. Always. If it's not the launch, it's the tax season. And if it's not the tax season, it's summer. Can't do it because it's summer, right? And if it's not summer, it's the holidays. And if it's not the holidays, it's that new hire. And if it's not that new hire, it's I just need more control over my business before I do that. And what I've learned is that there is always a reason to wait. I know this because I speak to women all the time and they're like, I'm just going to wait till next year. They'll say, I'll wait to launch that thing until the fall and it's the spring. And I say, why would you unnecessarily delay something that you want now, the results that you want now? I even had somebody say to me, I will wait till I have another baby until I get my business under control. And guess what? I don't have to tell you what happened. She never got her business under control, so she never had another baby. And I know I've been caught in this too. I just need to wait, right? Because the thing I've discovered is that the mind is brilliant at making waiting look super smart, intelligent, like the wise thing to do, right? It tells you that you're being careful, that you are doing things properly. It tells you that, now is not the right time. You've got to wait for the right timing. But underneath that is usually something much more tender. It's the fear of change. I see it all the time. The fear of change, sometimes the fear of the unknown, the fear of expansion, the fear of success. I see this all the time. Often it could also be the fear of visibility or the fear of outgrowing your current life, the fear of what people will say if you get bigger and more successful. And maybe it's just the fear of simply stepping into your bigger identity. And we don't call it fear. We call it, it's not the right time. Because when you make a real move, you cannot really go back to who you were before. So I understand it's kind of scary, right? And I've experienced this procrastination that parades around as strategy. And now before you start thinking, what about divine timing? Let's be clear. There is a difference between thoughtful timing and just chronic postponement, okay? And there are seasons when it genuinely makes sense to pause and to gather your resources. But that is not what I'm talking about. What we're talking about right now is the pattern, this repeated pushing of your next level into the future, right? Pushing it back, the way that your dreams always show up after this, after I do this, after the kids are out of the house, after I pay down my credit card debt, after I onboard this other person, after I finish that other program, after I finish whatever it is that you've got going on. We tell ourselves that we will invest in that team member or that program after the business does better. We tell ourselves that we will hire after we feel less overwhelmed. We tell ourselves that we will step into our leadership after we feel more confident. But here's the interesting paradox. The confidence comes from actually moving, right? The decision triggers the confidence, not the confidence triggers the decision. One of the things that I've talked a lot about to really thousands of people is the way that the human mind thinks is they're waiting for the how or the right timing before they make that decision or make that commitment. But the way the universe actually works is you will be given the way to do something after you've made the commitment. So the confidence comes from the commitment, comes from the decision, comes from moving, putting one foot in front of the other, even if we don't know what we're doing, even if we're a little scared, even if it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have it in me. The clarity comes from putting one foot in front of the other. And that next level, that stability that you're looking for in the next level comes from you making that move. So I don't know about you, but I've never become ready to do something and then leapt. I find that what actually happens is I leap and then somehow I become ready. Now, I touched on this just a moment ago, and I want to unpack the difference between perfect timing and divine timing. Now, I want us to slow down here because I know, maybe like me, that some of you are spiritually open, spiritually attuned, or like downright spiritual like I am. And maybe you believe in divine timing, and I do too, right? You trust the unfolding of things. You trust the seasons, the universe, Wu Wei, right? And so do I. But we have to differentiate something super important here. The perfect time doesn't exist does not mean ignore divine timing, right? Divine timing, as I see it, is alignment. It is that moment when your inner knowing says yes, even if the circumstances are not perfect. Divine timing, for me, maybe for you too, feels expansive. It feels intuitive. It feels right, even if you still have fear. Waiting for the perfect time, though, feels like a contraction rather than an expansion. So when we're waiting for all circumstances to be perfect or for the perfect time to do something, it's going to feel like postponement. You know it in your heart, right? It doesn't feel expansive. It feels like procrastination. It feels like I'll do it when I get less scared. It feels like I'll invest when I can guarantee the outcome. I will wait for divine timing. But again, that's another excuse. Why is it an excuse? Because divine timing does not remove uncertainty. The uncertainty will still be there, but divine timing aligns you with courage, a bold heart. So the perfect time is this illusion of I'm just going to control things. I'm going to control the timing. Divine timing is the opposite of control. It is surrender matched with action, right? It is that bold heart. It is that, oof, this feels like a bit of a stretch, but I feel in my heart that I need to do this. Even though I'm scared, even though I don't know the way, I'm just going to do this, right? The perfect time says when everything is lining up, everything is, ducks in a row, I will move. And then divine timing says, even though everything isn't perfect, I know it's time anyway. Let's go. And those are two very different energies. And I think this is feminine courage in acting. And I want to unpack that with you now. So here's how I understand masculine and feminine energy. There is a masculine, shall we say, distortion, at least for me, that says that action must come from force. It's got to be urgent, right? That is not what I'm inviting us to do here. I am inviting you into feminine courage. And feminine courage says, I trust myself enough to move before it feels completely safe. I'm going to honor that whisper inside my heart instead of waiting for the crisis. I do not need perfect conditions to take aligned action. And anyway, perfect conditions don't even exist. There is no such thing as perfect timing. So that big result you want, that hire, you want to hire somebody who is what you're not used to having somebody like that on your team. Or you want to apply for a TED Talk, or you want to, even move across the world like I did. That leap, that quantum leap, does not happen when your calendar clears. It doesn't happen when you feel confident. It doesn't happen when your income gets stabilized or everything's okay at home. It doesn't happen when your team is perfect. It happens when you decide. There is this amazing quote by William H. Murray from the Scottish Himalayan expedition. I'm going to pop it into the show notes because it literally is my favorite quote in the world. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically it says, the moment you commit, that's when providence moves too. And what does that mean? Providence. That's where it's almost like the entire universe comes in and helps you. The minute you make the decision and you commit, that's when the resources show up. That's when the people show up. I get moved every time I read that quote, and I've shared it with thousands of people at my events. The moment you say, you know what, I'm going for this, you start noticing the signs and the synchronicities and the material assistance showing up. I want to inspire you to live a little bit more that way. So the moment that you say, no more postponing my expansion or my dream, something reorganizes inside of you. And yeah, it's going to feel like a stretch. I feel it too. I've done this a million times, it feels like. It feels like a stretch. It feels a little bit nerve-wracking. It will ask you to take steps you're not used to taking, or to be seen more, or to make bigger decisions, or invest more. It will ask you to hold more responsibility. And that stretch is called growth. You cannot create new big results within your comfort zone, right? Maybe you've seen that meme online where, your dreams will happen outside of your comfort zone, never in your comfort zone. So you need to feel that stretch. It needs to feel slightly uncomfortable. But let's get honest about why we wait. Sometimes we wait because we are afraid of falling or failing, or sometimes we even wait because we are afraid of succeeding. Sometimes it's because if it works, our life will change. And that means relationships might shift, or expectations might raise, or our identity might shift. And sometimes just waiting feels safer on a nervous system level because nothing moves. We're not rocking the boat if we wait. Nothing's going to be disruptive if we stay exactly where we are. And there won't be extra work, and there won't be extra demands. And the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. But on the other side of that is the fact that nothing expands either. There's this opportunity cost. I remember I wanted to join this one mastermind, and I used the excuse, this was a long time ago, I used the excuse of let my kids get a little bit bigger and then I will join it because, the travel and this and that. And it took me 5 years to join that mastermind because I delayed it. I was looking for the perfect timing. And once I jumped into that mastermind, I was like, wow, I should have done this 5 years ago because I got results right away. And that opportunity cost is very real. And maybe for you, it's writing a book, like going to that cabin and writing that book, not waiting until you finish XYZ. And this is important because slowly and almost invisibly, those 5 years just slip away. Time just slips through your fingers and you start to wonder why things aren't moving faster. And then that's when resentment starts to creep up. At least that's what happened to me. And we resent the plateau that we're on, or we resent the workload, even though we say that we want to hire somebody to take things off our plate. And we resent being the bottleneck in the business, but we don't get the help that we know that we need because we're trying to be responsible. Maybe you're watching other women move while you stay exactly where you are. And there's a little bit of resentment there too. And so you'll tell yourself, it's just timing. But deep down, you know that you are capable of more. And here's what I want you to consider. The new big results that you want are not in the future, dear sister. They are in the now, in the sense that you move now. When you move now, you commit, you decide, providence moves too. Not because everything is perfect, because you don't know exactly how, but because you are ready enough, right? I hope that you write that down if you're at some place where you can write something down. I just need to be ready enough. I don't need to be perfectly ready. I don't need to know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't need to have my life, my team, my finances, my calendar be ready. You are smart enough. You are responsible enough. You are capable enough, and you have enough resources. And there will always be a reason to wait. There was one woman in Boldheart who knew she had to make a really big move, but it was going to rock the boat in her business. And she would show up at the Q&A calls and say, oh, this feels like a really big move. Oh, this feels like so much. What if it fails? What if I'll make people angry? And we just were there for her. And we helped her not find the perfect time, but the good enough time. And she did it. We encouraged her and we sent her so much love. And she made that decision and she never looked back. She said, why was I making it such a big deal? And I think it's the same thing with all of us. There will never be this flawless window. There will only be a decision point where you trust yourself enough and you trust the universe enough and you trust that you can figure it out even if you don't know what you're doing. And that is the decision that shifts your identity before it shifts your circumstances. When you move now, before you're ready, before it makes sense, you then stop relating to yourself as someone who waits. We just talked about identity recently here on this podcast. You shift into the person who leads instead of waiting, for the perfect situation. And that identity shift is what creates the external expansion. You've got to expand on the inside and trust. And that's when the results show up. They can't show up in your comfort zone. So I want to ask you this. What are you postponing right now? What is the thing that you keep saying you're going to do, air quotes, after this? Is it getting support? Is it hiring? Is it launching something really bold? Is it changing the name of your company? Is it investing in mentorship that's going to get you where you want to be? Is it showing up more visibly? Is it raising your prices? And if you removed the story of timing, what would actually be stopping you? And just name it. Is it fear of being seen? Is it fear of making a mistake? Is it fear of rocking the boat with your family or your team or your clients? Is it fear of outgrowing your current circle? Is it fear of money fluctuation or disappointing someone? I know how that feels. I've been there too. I still find myself there too sometimes. But instead of saying and lying to yourself, saying it's not the right time, just be honest, because that honesty is powerful. And once you can name it, it's a fear of change. Well, at least I'll tell you what we do in Boldheart. We work on the fear of change. We don't work on perfect timing. We work on reducing the fear of change, reframing it so that you feel confident taking action now, even though you're not, quote, ready. Because once you see the thing that's actually getting in the way, not the timing, but the fear underneath, then you can choose differently. And so, I hope I've made my case today that the perfect time does not exist. The aligned time does exist. And aligned timing or divine timing rarely feels comfortable. It feels like expansion, but you still have nerves. It feels like courage that's walking hand in hand with uncertainty, right? That's the bold heart. So boldly go after the thing that's on your heart, even if you don't feel completely ready. I really think that that's society trying to keep us small. This is about movement without guarantees, but that's okay too, because you are brave. And if something inside you has been whispering that it is time to grow, time to scale, time to make more money, to feel more supported, time to really make a bigger impact, I want you to listen to that. Not because your life is perfectly organized, but because your soul is ready for a change. And that big leap or those big results are not waiting in some future month when everything settles down. It is available now. With your decision, with your commitment, with your move. And the woman who trusts that is the woman who accelerates. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm always here for you. Lots of love.